I was sitting here while I was listening to Ray, and I was making a list of guys that have been through my house and guys that have reoffended. And I made my list up, and there's 10 guys on my list. And you know what? Not one of them have reoffended. Not one.
All right.
And I want to be clear that I'm not taking the credit for that. I give it to God, I give it to my wife, and I give it to the guys who come out of the system. I can't imagine myself not trying to help guys come out and sample some of this. You know, I mean, I can't picture it because I love them guys back there so much. I grew up there. I did 27 years there. I went in when I was 16. I got out when I was a lot older. I didn't think I was going to get out. I had resigned myself to dying in there. I had married my wife in April and kind of resigned myself to the fact that I was going to get visits from her for the rest of my life or hers. She also happens to be 20 years older than me, and she is the sweetest, most loving person I've ever met in my entire life. She loves every one of the guys who come into my house, into our house, let me rephrase that, into our house. It's hard because things that I get to help guys do are go and get Social Security, go to register at the police station. By now the chief knows me by my first name, and he usually smiles when he sees me, which is good. My neighbors aren't really happy. As a matter of fact, last year I had bought an article and gave it to Richard and shared it with some other people, where this guy actually ran for selectman to try and get us out of the neighborhood. Needless to say, there was a kind of weird ending to the story in that he went, I don't want to say crazy, but he ended up pulling a gun on his wife and threatened her, and then threatened the Farmington Police Department. Now he's sitting in Dover House of Correction with like a $50,000 bail over him. So we weren't the menaces in the neighborhood that he said we were. So I know I shouldn't be satisfied by that, but I am a little bit. Most recently, the last guy who got out of prison and came to live with me is a gentleman named Ernie, and he's from New York. And he got out because he had died in prison twice. He had 10% of his heart left. The system didn't want to pay for his medical stuff, so the easiest way out of it was to clear him and let him go to the streets. Well, that's all well and good, but Ernie didn't have any place to go. So how it usually works is about 2 o'clock in the morning, I get a call from an attorney who is a great friend of mine, and she says, Bob, I have this guy who really, you know, is a good guy, and he wants to come out and make it. And I'm like, okay, Sandra, what's his name? You know, and so then we go down and get him. After getting out with his 10% heart, he found out he has terminal cancer in his lungs. And he probably has 2 months left to live. But now he's getting real medical treatment from real doctors who really care about what happens to him and don't judge him on the basis of what he did 20-something years ago. He's also with his family in New York. So, unlike Ray, I will say, take an ex-con into your house. Do it very, very carefully and be sure that you know the person that you're taking in. I've seen guys come out of the system and go into a place called St. Francis House, which is an incredible place because they help everybody. The difference is that the guys who come to our house come to a house, a real house, something that they haven't experienced in 20-something years. And to see their faces just light up, you know, when they're sitting there and they got a fork and a knife, you know, and they're eating something like lasagna that they haven't had in 100 years. I can't even tell you how incredible it makes me feel to be a part of that. I mean, I was a scumbag, that's who I was. And now, because of AVP, because of people like Richard and Susan and Daryl and everybody here, I have this desire to want to help and to want to make their lives better than what they were. And I'll be honest, I couldn't have 10 guys be successful if they didn't really want to come out and be successful. So that has to be the key. Guys have to come out wanting to have a life and stop blaming people and making excuses for all the stuff that's happened to them growing up. You know, I love my life today, and we don't get funding. I'm the one who drives people around and takes them to appointments because I have this little gift to gab thing. My wife is the nurturer in our house. You know, she is like a mother to most of these guys, and I don't even know where to go at this point. I'm just kind of overwhelmed. So with that, I'll just